Hello, and welcome to this attempt at a summary of Chapter 1 of the book Thought as a System by David Bohm. So, Thought as a System was originally a seminar. It's not a book that is written, but it's a seminar that is transcribed. As most of us agree, this Earth that we live on is a lovely place. There's no doubt about that. At the same time, if love is such a good way, then why is there so much trouble in life where human beings are concerned? The seminar begins with a brief description of some of the global troubles that we have, and I don't think I have to go into much detail about that. We have economical crisis, we have war. It's a terrible situation, really. And Bohm points out or raises a question: is it possible, or is it really feasible to see the situation going on for another 100 years or 500 years? In the book he mentions the fact about how our technology is working against us in a way. So he says 10,000 years ago, a person at the Stone Age who is really upset, he's in the forest with his stone axe, and he's really trying to cause damage to something. But even if his thinking, his mind is not in order, he's not able to cause too much trouble. As the times are now, we could say that the situation is not comparable. If we have nuclear power, nuclear armaments, the same person with enough connections and could possibly cause a lot of destructions. And if not a single person, then a single nation could. So, also, I don't think I have to go too deeply into the fact that Bohm points out that thought is the underlying cause of this, the way we think. If you have come this far as to read the book or visit this page, I think you might agree on that point. Rather, we can just go into a summary of the points that David Bohm is putting on the table or starting this seminar with. So how can thought be in any way responsible for so much trouble that we see in the world? So he starts by outlining a fact that there is an issue with thought that we have to look into. We have to look into it very, very deeply in order to find the source of our troubles. This is because thought, first creatively, we could say, tries another way than love. So in the world, as a result, we see the consequences of these pervasive consequences of our flawed ways of thinking. And a general feature of thought is that it's very, very active, not just in the individual, but it spreads between people. We are talking, you are listening, we are reading, we watch TV. So it spreads between people, and thought being very active has affected the whole world. We are exploiting the world for resources and religion, politics, economics. It's affecting the whole world, in fact. So the issue at hand with thought, what we have to look at is both personal, it's collective, and in fact you could say that it's even cosmic, in the sense that we fail to partake in the grander scheme of things. Yeah. The first particular thing with thought, or what thought does, that Bohm expresses. There are many details in the book that you are aware of if you have started reading it, and there are many avenues to explore, but the first one is one of the more obvious ones, as a particular example among several. It's a way in which how thought operates. It operates with looking at nature, dividing it into compartments, into things. It begins to fragment into more and more details. So actually, it's an illusion that there is fragmentation in a fundamental sense. Nature is not fragmented. But our thinking tries to be different from nature and approaches it in a fragmentary way. It tries to treat nature as pieces. Nature refuses to be treated as pieces or parts. And our thinking, we are using these, we could call it illusions or fantasy for practical purposes of fragmentations. And then our mind begins to be disposed in such a way that we create real action which is out of harmony with reality. So it's one thing, nature is operating a certain way, our thinking is operating in another way, splitting it up in order to be able to see the details or analyze details. But our thinking comes back and creates action, which of course becomes a real part of reality. We can see that not just externally are we fragmenting or dividing the world. When our thought is working or operating with fragments, thought begins to attribute its origin to one of these fragments, to you, to the thinker. It is the idea that thinking is carried out by an entity. We can call it a thinker, a self, or an I think. This is a false division, fragmenting the thinker from his thoughts and from the world that he is thinking about. Something that would be a little bit closer to the truth or the point would be to say that there is nothing but thought, there is only thought, and there is no thinker to produce it. You could also say that these problems of fragmentation, they are actually an expression of our oneness with nature, not of our difference, not of our separation from it. As our thoughts, our imagination produces real activities that are destructive. So our activities are destructive, and what we see is the destruction that we bring about. If we were not one with nature, if we were not part and closely connected to nature, our actions would probably have no effect on it. So it's because human beings, or man, is one with nature that this is happening. Our thought is part of nature, And when we go into fantasy and mistake it for reality, it's not just that we have these images, these ideas, but we also begin to mistake it for reality. So if we say that thought is our tool, our map to navigate in reality, it could be useful to split it up, to see portions of it. But we begin to believe that not only are there fragments in thought, but reality is actually fragmented in this way. So we have a map that is fragmented, but we can't also imagine that the world is fragmented in such a way just because the map is. Yes? Now, a step in the right direction, which David Bohm is taking, is to, instead of treating all the fragments separately, thoughts, feelings, the body, the world, the brain, the chemistry of the brain, the biology of the brain, neurophysiology, medicine, instead of treating them as fragments or separate or specialized areas of interest, what we have to do is to treat this as a system, and all of it would go under the umbrella of thought, and that is where the title of the book comes from. Thought as a system rather than separate parts. In chapter 2 there will be a discussion about how the system operates. It operates as a system of reflexes, among other things, and that is one of the ways that chapter 2 will address. Let's just see if I have I think I'll stop there for the moment. Thank you.